Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barrocks here, the digital storyteller, and I am excited to create another video for you. And this video is kind of an impromptu video because something really exciting happened in the cinema industry, the tech industry, the film and independent filmmakers industry, and that is an announcement by Blackmagic Design. They have announced just about 24 hours ago that they are releasing a new Blackmagic 6K pocket camera. Pocket cinema camera? Pocket cinema 6K camera. You know what I mean. Anyways, are you ready? I'm ready. Let's go! Woo! So before we get started with regards to my thoughts on this particular announcement, on this particular piece of gear that has come out that people are going crazy over, the internet is literally exploding, like people are losing their mind. And that's okay, especially users that already purchased the 4K Micro Four Thirds version. They're kind of like, damn it, I just bought this like a month ago and now they have a 6K version, but it's all good. We'll jump into all the features and all the things I like about these cameras and all the things I don't like so much about these cameras and why I'm kind of hesitant in terms of investing in this particular line of cameras. But before we get into that, I do want to kind of set the tone with regards to this video. I want you to understand that when I share my opinion, it really is my opinion based off of my 20 plus years of doing what I do, which is digital storytelling, being in the film industry, being both in front of the camera as an actor and behind the camera as a storyteller, director, cinematographer. So when I share my particular perspective, I don't want you to take it to heart to the point where you don't do your own research, you don't make the best decision for your business, for your creativity, and for your own digital storytelling journey. I do think though that people get very excited about new tech, new cameras, new gear, because it's new tech, new cameras, and new gear. But I think it's really important that if you want to be successful in this business, you really have to understand that it's a business. It's not just a hobby. Now, if you are a hobbyist, more power to you. But this video is really geared towards those that understand that it's a business or maybe thinking about picking up this camera now. They may already have a camera, but they want to stay current and maybe they just want to jump into the 4K, 6K, 8K market. And these cameras are great options, but you should know a few things before you really jump into this great oasis of camera tech. I just want to share with you some of the dope features I think that should be noted with regards to this camera. Now, as always with these Blackmagic Cinema Pocket cameras, they are designed for independent filmmakers, documentarians, bloggers, vloggers, and the like. The design is really dope because it's a mixture of both carbon fiber and polycarbon materials, and it creates really a firm structure that's lightweight and heat resistant. These particular cameras come in two distinct flavors. The first flavor is obviously the 4K Micro Four Thirds sensor design. Now the other flavor is the new flavor, which is the 6K Super 35 sensor, which is mind-boggling that they're selling this for $2,500 American, which is great. I love it. I'm happy about that. Now the big design jump and the thing that is exciting everybody is the fact that this camera, the 6K pocket cinema camera, showcases and features an EF mount, meaning it will allow you to mount any of your Canon lenses natively without any adapters, without any speed boosters, without any speed anythings. You can just put a Canon EF lens on to this camera and it'll work. Now, the first reason why I love the Pocket Cinema line of cameras is obviously because of the image quality. The image quality is literally industry standard. It's maybe an Arri Alexa level, but it's really, really close. Blackmagic has always been obsessed with the beauty of color grading, color imagery, and just having, you know, skin tones and colors looking as natural as possible. They've done a great job with all of their cameras, but specifically these pocket cinema cameras, this sort of second generation, second wind of pocket cinema cameras, because they are so amazing at producing great image quality, like award-winning image quality in such a small, tight package. So, I mean, that's the first thing that I love about it. I've been just jumping around YouTube and different websites looking at all the amazing footage that people have created with this camera, and I'm blown away, I'm amazed, and that's one of my favorite reasons why this camera is just really dope. The other thing I really like about this camera is that a lot of times you buy a camera and it's like really a photography camera that does video, or a video camera that really does photography, but it's never a mixture of a lot of different things that can be done really well with one camera. And with this Pocket 6K and Pocket 4K cinema cameras, I like them a lot because they're really flexible. You see, I don't just do music videos, and I don't just do live shows, and I don't just do broadcasts. I do short films, I do feature films, I do documentaries, I do music videos, I do vlogging. And these cameras can do a lot of different types of things, and that's a really big strength. The fact that you can buy one camera that can do a whole lot of things really, really well, at least when it comes to cinema and video, which this is geared towards. I think that's a great strength for these cameras. Now, the third positive or pro with regards to the Pocket 6K Blackmagic camera is the price tag. Now, obviously the 4K Pocket Cinema camera was, I believe it was $1,200 American. Well, this camera that shoots 6K and that has a Super 35 sensor is only $2,500 American. $2,500 American. I mean, that's peanuts, that's nothing. I mean, for Blackmagic to sell a camera for sub $3,000 that does what this camera claims to do is mind-boggling. I mean, just a year ago, I bought an FS5 with a 7-inch Atomos Shogun Inferno, and that does 4K at 60 frames per second, but externally. This is 4K 60 frames per second internally without any sort of monitoring, without any extra batteries, without anything except a CFast card or an SSD hard drive, and you're good to go. Why wasn't this out last year? The fourth pro with regards to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema line of cameras is the flexible power option. So yes, these cameras take the LP6 batteries. Yes, that is kind of a negative, and I'll talk about that a little bit later, but the thing that's really good about the LP6 batteries is because they've been around for so long and so many people have owned Canon cameras that have used those types of batteries, a lot of people have them. And even if you haven't owned them, they're really easy to purchase on Amazon or from B&H and other sources for really, really cheap. They also have a grip that's designed for the cinema Pocket Cinema cameras, and those can hold 2 of the LP6 batteries, which is great because now instead of getting 40 to 45 minutes, now you're looking at about an hour, hour and a half to almost 2 hours of powering without making the footprint get too much larger with this particular camera. So again, the flexibility that you get with the power options is another pro for me. And the last pro for me is the dual ISO. I mean, we've talked about it, there's tons of people that have made videos about it, but again, the fact that you can shoot in bright daylight and have a certain set or a certain chunk of ISO sensitivity for that, and then you can raise your ISO sensitivity when you're in a low lighting situation like maybe candlelight or in a dark room, that's just smart. That's smart technology. That's something that I think every camera should have from now on, and I'm so glad that they have it in their cameras. Now let's talk a little bit about the cons. These are just some things that have stopped me from purchasing this camera or these types of cameras. And again, it might be a little bit different for you, but these are the reasons why I don't love these cameras as much as some others. The first con is the design. I don't really love the design. I think it's a weird, awkward shape. It's kind of almost like a melted DSLR shape. I think it's a little bit too big. I don't like the fact that the grip comes out so much. And then also too, with the unarticulating screen, that's not really the greatest feature for me either. I don't like the fact that you can't move around the display. You have to be behind the camera in order to do make all of your adjustments and make all of your changes. That's really a con for me, because again, if I'm in different situations, if I'm on a gimbal, if I am on a slider or in a tight situation, I want to put this camera in certain predicaments, it's very hard for me to make adjustments on the fly because I have to touch the screen to do so. And yes, there are some knobs and dials, but again, it's not like, you know, the A7 III I'm using right now, or it's not like the 5D Mark IV, or it's not like the GH5, where you have a lot of tactile buttons that can do pretty much everything that you need to do without actually going into the menu options. Now, again, I'm not saying that the menu isn't intuitive, it isn't easy to use. I'm saying it's not practical in every situation. The second con for me, I kind of touched on it with the first con, and that is the screen. The fact that the screen is so integral into you being able to fine tune your images, to change your settings, to do all that sort of stuff. I'm not really a fan of that. And also, I'm not a fan of the fact that it's not articulating at all. I mean, even with Sony, you have a little bit of play in terms of pulling the screen up or pulling it down, adjusting it a bit. The fact that you don't have any sort of flexibility there, and then it forces you into a position where you probably have to invest in another screen in order to do things like vlogging, or to do things like time lapse, or to do things that won't require you to be so dependent on the screen behind the camera, is a little problematic for me, and one of the reasons why I think it's a big con, at least for me. The third con for me is the terrible battery life. Now, I know what you're gonna say, well, just buy the cheap batteries, the LP6 batteries, and walk with a lot. That's great if you want to do that. Listen, I already went through that craziness with my A7 S Mark II, as well as the A6300 when I owned those two cameras, and I don't want to go through it again. I don't want to go through all of the issues that come with poor performing batteries in a camera. If this is supposed to be a cinema level camera, if this is supposed to be a camera that's designed for documentary shooting, for running gun shooting, for weddings, I don't want to always have to be charging batteries while I'm trying to shoot and create and film my clients. Now, this next con is probably the biggest issue, in my opinion, with most cameras and in this sort of cinema cinema range, and that is they take up a boatload of storage. Now, everybody's talking about how excited they are. 4K, 6K, 8K cameras, a sub 2,000, sub 3,000 price range. This is great. ProRes RAW, ProRes, RAW this, RAW that. It's so great. This is a great time to be alive and be a filmmaker, especially an independent, poor filmmaker. But what you're not thinking about is computing processing. You're not thinking about the storage capacity. I'm not saying that you shouldn't get this camera, but be aware that the box price or the list price is not the real price of the camera. You also have to take into account the storage, the long-term and short-term storage costs. You have to take into account, SD cards that you're gonna purchase, or CFast cards that you're gonna purchase, or SSD hard drives that you're gonna purchase. All of this adds up to thousands and thousands of gigabytes and terabytes, and at the end of the day, money, dollars. So you can't just look at the camera as, well, I'm shooting 6K and now this camera can shoot 6K, I'm gonna shoot it all the time. What is that gonna actually cost you? What's the tangible, digital, and fiscal cost of that, of shooting in these higher bit rates? And I don't want to be spending thousands of dollars of money that I gained from getting new clients on just storage. So you have to really balance out what makes sense for you, right? And that's really important. And the last con, in my opinion, is probably one of the most important cons, and that is all of the accessories that you have to purchase to make this camera work. Between the batteries and the power solutions, to the cages, to the lenses, to the monitors, to the SD cards, the SSD cards, to the CFast cards, to all of the peripherals that you have to add to make this particular camera usable, I just don't know if it's worth it. Out of the box, the camera is a beast. It's great. But to really make it functional and usable for, let's say, narrative work, for documentary work, for wedding work, there are a lot of different additional pieces that you have to make an investment in. And if you're spending $2,500 for just a camera, and then another, let's say, $2,000 to $3,000 between storage and accessories, well, now you're really looking at a $4,500 to $5,000 camera. So those are just some of my thoughts with regards to the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 6K and 4K cameras. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful day.
Hey, what's up everybody? It's your boy Tristan Barrocks here, the digital storyteller. And I'm just super excited and super thankful for every single person that's supporting the channel, that has become a new subscriber, that has been on the journey thus far. We're learning a lot of things together. I'm sharing all of my techniques and my thoughts about the new gear that I've invested in. But the most important part is your support. I'm just encouraging you to share my videos. If there are any questions that you have, if you are thinking of subscribing, please subscribe and check out some of these new videos that I've created in the last couple of weeks. Thank you so much. Peace.